inoculation, working with a doctor named Boylston at that time. Boylston Street's named after him. And Cotton Mather really pushed inoculation. He was a member of the Royal Academy of Sciences, and he pushed inoculation over the objections of lots of folks, including one of the newspapers in town that was run by James Franklin and his little brother Benjamin. So there are a lot of stories we could tell, a lot of history we could go into. We just don't have time for that tonight. Thanks for your question.
We have 2 questions remaining, and then we're going to release everybody. Gentleman in the hat first, and then Senator Estes last. We'll close the evening. Sir.
I was hoping for a debate like you had with Mr. Galloway in New York, where it was quite a knockdown, drag-out fight, but I guess we need 2 Brits for that sort of discourse. But I did want to ask, y'all used to be Marxist running buddies, and now you're war in Iraq running buddies. Is this the product of vanity, ideology, or perhaps some sort of religious commonality?
You want to...
Looking for the
I'm willing to take a run at it. But,
Dr. Olasky.
Christopher can speak for himself of that, of course, as he does very well. But I just look in the war on Iraq as a subset of the war on terror, which some people look upon that as a discretionary war. We can engage in it or not. Some people look upon it as an obligatory war. I tend to think it's an obligatory war. I don't like it at all. When I was writing columns about this back in 2003, I was hoping we didn't get into that in Iraq. But now we're in it. And what do? It's not an easy situation. It really isn't. I hate it. But it's a tough war we're in.
An area of some common.
well, I'm no longer a Brit, and Mr. Galloway never was one. He's a renegade Scot. Of the most revolting dye. And to have a debate on the order of that, we would have to disappoint you, because Mr. Galloway is a thug and a liar and a demagogue and a man who has managed the odd feat of being able to be both a pimp for and a prostitute of Saddam Hussein. My opponent tonight, I need hardly add, is a great deal more elevated in every respect than that, so sorry to disappoint you. I regard the war in Iraq as part of the war against religion. The faith-based parties of God are trying to level Iraq to barbarism, and they're very nearly succeeding. As well as killing each other's children, their fellow Muslim children, which they don't scruple to do, they want to reduce by their religious precepts a once highly civilized and sophisticated society to the level of Somalia or Afghanistan, which is what happens, by the way, to any country when you try to run it out of a holy book. I think we should hereby highly resolve that no country of such importance and no people of such civilization who've been through so much and to whom we've promised so much shall ever be governed that way. We will not abandon them. The jihadists will never have Iraq. What we're doing there is one of the noblest undertakings the United States has ever made.
But as to the question, may I follow up just briefly? As to the question, though, isn't it odd to find yourself allied with perhaps the most religious, fundamentally religious administration the United States has had in recent memory, and with a fundamentalist and evangelical, or perhaps even a dominionist like Mr. Olasky?
The irony
coined the term compassionate conservatism. We've seen how that's worked out.
I perfectly understand that. I mean, all my friends in Iraq, my Iraqi and Arab and Kurdish friends in Iraq, are all secularists. For all I know, every member of the 82nd Airborne Division is a professional snake handler. But what they happen to be fighting for is a secular Iraq. So I would think the irony was at the expense of the religious rather than the secular.
Last question of the night, Senator Estes.
Thank you very much. Thank you to both of you for a tremendously stimulating debate. And Dr. Olasky, you've been a hero of mine for many years and part of what spurred me on to government service. But this is a question for the other side. And I was glad you talked about Occam's razor, but let's get to the end of our life individually. How do you answer Pascal's wager? As far as I've never heard an anti-theist, explain maybe a short explanation of Pascal's wager.
Will be short.
Yeah.
But I can also say that, as well as at fine bookstores everywhere, my book, which you can get now, does have a discussion of this very question. So if I seem to stumble on by condensing it, you can get my more rounded view. Pascal's wager, in case it's not known to you, comes from Blaise Pascal, who addresses his pensée to the one who is so made as that they cannot believe. That's me. And he says, well, let me put it to you like this. What have you got to lose? If you bet God exists and loves you and you're wrong, you're no worse off than you were already. if you bet, sorry, and you're right, there is no such thing. You know yourself and you worry. If you're wrong and there is, you win, as long as you have said you agree with him. So why don't you do it now while there's still time? I have two comments on this. One, religious hucksterism of the cheapest, vulgarest, nastiest kind it's possible to imagine. He says, what do you got to lose? I've got a good offer for you. Come into my used car lot. Come on, baby, just lie a little, and you never know. No, don't talk to me like that, and don't call it piety when you do, or be prepared to have piety despised. Second, Bertrand Russell, when asked this question, said that if confronted with his maker, he would say, I used to be able to do his accent, "Oh, Lord, you did not give us enough evidence." I would go a little further. I would say, well, look, boss, if it's true what they say about you, that you're an infinitely kind, forgiving, all-fatherly person, this is certainly what your fans keep saying, do you not have a little room in your, obviously very capacious heart for someone who just couldn't bring himself to believe in you and really, honestly, truly couldn't? As opposed to someone who won't spend half their life on their knees making fawning professions of faith because Pascal told them it was a good bet. Which of us is the more moral? Which of us is the more honest? Which of us is the more courageous? Which of us has the bluest eyes and is the most sexually attractive? Which of us has the real charisma here? I'm just only asking.
Well,
He's running away.
well, he isn't. He's not. He's walking away. We could have spent our evening doing something else. This was terrific. We were very lucky, and how lucky we are to be in a place where we can have this kind of open discussion. Christopher Hitchens, Dr. Olasky, thank you both very much.